Okay, we continue learning Hilchos Bishul. So we finished the 5 Tanaim of Chazara, which was Sif Chaf over here. And the 5 Tanaim of Chazara, just to remind ourselves, was number one, it has to be Mavushikal Tzarkai. Number two, it has to be Cham B'Miksas. Number three, it has to be Oide B'Yadai. Number four, it has to be Daita L'Hachsir. And number five, it has to be, the flame has to be covered. Those were our 5 Tanayim of Chazara. We ended off Sivchaf that in the footnote over here, the Shemiras Shabbos adds on the parenthetical statement, Umutter l'chases alahava gam b'Shabbos. You're lemaisa allowed to cover up a flame on Shabbos. V'chein, and similarly, mutter lahaver kisim lahava achas l'chaverta. You're allowed to remove lahaver kisui. You're allowed to remove the cover from one flame to the next. Aval, however, also lahaver is a kisi alahava she'echoylu lahavi lidei libun. So this is, he's coming to counteract the Chazon Ish. This is a question, you're allowed to make a blech on Shabbos. You have an oven, you have your bunch of burners, you're allowed to take a blech. What's a blech? Blech is a piece of metal, or multiple pieces of tinfoil, very good. And you're allowed to take it and cover over your flames. So Zok, the Shemiras Shabbos, the answer is yes. However, if it's going to come lidei libun, if it's going to get red hot, then he says you should be careful. Lemaisa, it's not really so negaya in our blechs, this whole Liban story. Again, whether we're coming keneged the Chazon Ish, whether we're coming to the Lemaisa, either way, in the bottom over here, he has a whole shtickle tear in the Chazon Ish. Lemaisa, you're allowed to make a blech on Shabbos, which means, as we often mention, you go to your crackpot and you want to take shalom on a Friday night. So number one, it is fully cooked. Wonderful. Number two is you take it and you take it out. And as you take it out, what do? You look inside. And what should you see? Foil, something. And what do you see? Nothing. So now you have one of two choices. Either, right, exactly. So now you have one of two choices. Either you eat the whole challah now Friday night, you don't have challah tomorrow Shabbos day, or you forget about it and make a blech on Shabbos. How do you make a blech on Shabbos? It's called taking a piece of foil and putting it inside. So if you have pre-cut foil, you're all good to go. What if you don't have pre-cut foil? Then you have a very big shayla. According to many yeshitas, you are not allowed, he's not talking about this here, you're not allowed to use a whole roll of foil and do what you just said because it's muksa. A roll of foil, many yeshitas hold, is muksa. However, others want to say, like you just said, that you would be allowed to, it would be muksa machas gufay, because it has absolutely no usage on Shabbos. Now, this is going to be whether this is called a normal usage. Everything you could create a usage for. If I hold my computer's and kiss, I can still put my piece of pizza on it.
Every single week.
And again, but not when it's in the foil. Not when it's in the roll. This is a similar shayla when you go away for Shabbos and you have the big long rolls of tablecloth and you forget to cut it before Shabbos. So what do? What's the big deal? Just roll it across all the tables and move over. Very common. You're allowed to do it. Same shayla, there are shittas that hold you're not allowed to due to muksa, and there are those who are makel that says that no, it's called a normal usage. Or pre-cut foil. You have to cover the flame. And he also says, be careful that you're not going to minimize the flame when you cover it, which again, in our mitziyusim is not really so common.
What about putting in, does that be fully covered? What about putting in like a few knives that it lifts it?
Again, but it's still going to be touching, and it won't touch anywhere on the walls.
Put 3 knives in a triangle.
Maybe some gadol would want to be makel if you say you put like a pot in the middle and it just picks it up and it's not touching it. Maybe that could be called covering the flame. Maybe. Sif Chaf Aleph. Now, Sif Chaf Aleph is, in your Sfarim, on Sif Chaf Aleph, you'll all fold down the corner and you'll make sure you can find Sif Chaf Aleph. Why? Because he starts off B'Shas HaTzorich, which means that's what you're going to need to know. Because the rest, what to do l'chatchila? Okay, you know what to do l'chatchila. And now Friday night when they knock on your door, so now to know, okay, what are we allowed to be makel on? B'Shas HaTzorich, says Shemiras Shabbos, Efshir lahakel ulahachser kli al gabi b'mekarim habayim. In the following cases, you're allowed to return your pot to the fire. Number 1, Aleph. He's going to explain. He didn't say anything. In the following cases, you're allowed to lachser kli al gabi. Number 1, kli al gabi shulchan or ekise. He's going to show you which conditions you can violate and b'di'evet still be allowed to put it back. We have 5 conditions. Lamash. Let's just speak it outside. Let's say you go and you take it out, you open it up, and your challah is not fully cooked. Can you put it back? Number 2, let's say you don't have foil and your flame's open. Can you put it back? Number 3, You put it down and you let go of it. Can you put it back? Number 4, you didn't have das. Can you put it back? In all of these cases, bidi avad, when you mess up, which conditions of chazara are you allowed to violate? So number 1, if you put down your pot on a table or a chair and you're not holding on to it, then you're still allowed to do chazara, even though you violated the condition of
the run, right?
no, you didn't violate the condition of the ran. You violated the condition of. We'll see the footnotes in a moment. We're now in the top. What condition do we violate? I'm not answering your question on purpose, because whether we're going to be saying B'chal Ran B'diavad is a massive, massive fight. And if I say yes, then you're going to tell me that if you put it back without the thing, you can be makel. So let's just go slowly. So what's the answer? You violated oida biyadai, because it's not in your hand anymore. But again, be careful. Where did you put down the pot when he's makel? On the table or the chair? This is bitzirov, right? We already learned that the table and the chair are like middle levels. Clearly, if you put it on the floor, he's not going to say the same thing. L'chayri, he does. Let's see the footnote in a moment. So you have das, which by the way, you always have das. Kemat. In a normal case, you took it off, you have das. This is one of the most common cases. You're taking El Chalent, your wife's taking El Chalent, let's just blame it on her because she's not here to defend herself. And she takes El Chalent for you, because so you could obviously sit there and learn or fall asleep on your sefer. You woke up as she comes in, quickly wipe off the drool as she's serving you chalent, so you could stay and learn Friday night. But so she serves it. I took my hand off of it. Took my hand off it. The classical kasha, right? You're serving it, you put it down. I'm not holding it anymore. So it says the Shemiras Shabbos, you put it on the table or the chair. You're allowed to put it back. Says ha'ara ayin aleph, ayin in the oz nidbru, as Rabbi Katzstein just pointed out. Du adin al gabe shayish b'mitbach. What's a shayish? A counter in English. Shayish, it is marble, that's good, but shayish is called the counter. V'ulam be'shut igros Moshe mashma shu machmir b'chol gavni. Pella. Ayin in igros Moshe sounds like he's machmir on all these. He's a filo gabi shochan. V'zeh shlo ketiv yishartzin anal. And he is Meirich on this Nakuda. So number 1 is, if you take your hands off of it, you can be Mekel. And the bottom over here, he gets involved that it sounds like you shouldn't be able to be Mekel if you put it on the floor. And he says the Shekol Torah, Ayin, he says Ayin the Sharatzi, in which he deals with this. That's number 1. Number 2, so you're holding on to your hands. Ukanal Sivchaf Dalid. Sivchaf Dalid was condition number 4, that you didn't take it out of your hands. Af imloy b'deitilach didn't have das. What's the case? Friday night, you take off the soup, because why? You serve the soup. No, because chalon you always have das, because you don't have das. You take off the chalon, because you figure you serve the soup. You put it down, and as you're opening it up, your wife says, so you're still holding on to it, but you have no das. You don't have das to put it back. Zog to Shemiras Shabbos, even without das, you're allowed to return it if it's still oida biyadai. Ulam, however, yesh lisker, you should remember. You have to have all the other conditions. So we just got 2 kulas. Kula number 1 is if you removed your hands. Kula number 2 is you didn't have das.
Together, could you? You put it down on the table and then your wife comes running into the kitchen.
You didn't have das and you put it down. He was not willing to be makel on that so far. So far, he's only willing to be makel on either no das or not in your hands. All other permutations, the Shemiras Shabbos is not willing to be makel. And he continues, Simcha Vez. B'diavad. So we started off Shasa Tzairach, now we get B'diavad. B'diavad, dahainu. Kasher misham hakpada al anemar b'sef ha'koidem, lo yeh lo mechel cham l'Shabbos. Very careful how he's writing. You just stated what was just pointed out. You had no das, and it was in your hand. And now, what's going to the resultant be? No hot food. Now be careful. No hot food. He didn't say. I'm not going to even say that. Maybe you have a kugel on the block. No hot food. No hot food. Bechlal. Ein loy meichel cham. No. I know in case you're saying, but even in Shabbos day, you still meichel cham. You don't have a kugel. You don't have something else warm. Yeah, he's explaining. Cause you're being makar always said lo yeh loy meichel cham l'Shabbat. Pardon? Yesh makaim lahakel. There's a makaim to be mekel. Ulahachzir is a kli agabe ish. Gam You put it out of your hand, and you didn't have das. And this is only of course, mavusha called sarkai. Those you can never get out of. So if you want to remember, tsunami. If you want to remember, we have 5 conditions. The Shemiras Shabbos is learning 2 of them. B'di'eveh and makam atzarech, no food you could be makel on, which is holding in your hands in das. 3 of them, he's learning there's no wiggle room, which is called fully cooked, warm, ish covered. Those 3 you cannot ever be makel on. The das and oida biyadai you could be makel on. In Ha'ara Ayin Dalid, he points out the toiv yasa says ayin 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 ayin. Toiv lahachmar nachal gabi kark. The toiv yasa v'nich salachat hafucha mitachas lekdera. The toiv mizel lahamidas lekdera gabi kdera cheres b'lei shemidas gabi ish. Ki b'yizeh yotze kol adeyas. In the bottom he points out chacham. We have another eitzah. Vayin halon sif mendalit el sar sif zamchayin. He says, you know what you could do? Go into your crack pot, turn over a pan inside, and then put it in. Then you just got out of all issues. Now, just be careful. Usually that's not going to work with your cholent, because usually your cholent is not hot. Here you have a shikl bit of a mythus. You have a problem warming up your food, but it's warm. So if you could get out of all the problems, you're good to go. Meaning normally you take, let's say, soup out of the fridge, you take cholent out of the fridge, you could overturn a pot for today to tomorrow, it's usser. Why? Because you're making it yatzaled display from cold, and therefore it is usser. However, over here it's hot already. All you're doing is you're maintaining the heat, so he points out on the bottom, that would be the eitzah. That would be the eitzah, and it's
Put it back on a fire with a blach?
to an overturned pot, and then on the blach. Meaning, so then you're not doing chazara. The whole problem chazara is to put it directly onto the eish or onto the covered eish, and therefore over here you have a shayla. He says in the bottom, okay, by the way out of the shayla, if I overturn the pot, then I'm not. There's no isra chazara. Then the only issue you would have is usually it's warming things up, etc. But this is warm, so you wouldn't have a problem. You wouldn't have a problem. Let's go one more sif over here. Sif chav gimel. Shtei kederos ha'midas gabi eish. A very, I don't know, very classical case, but a case that happens. 2 pots on a fire. Let's call that a soup for Friday night. And the second one is a challenge for the morning. 2 of the exact same pots, 1 soup, 1 challenge, 1 for Friday night, 1 Shabbos day. So what was the mistake that you made? No, that you made 2 pots exactly the same, 1 was soup and 1 was challenge, and now you're not going to know which is which. But then the problem you made was you took off the wrong one. This is called a toyus you made. Are you allowed to put it back if you made a toyus? At the moment, you just said v'ta. Mutter lachzira al gabi eisha mechosa. B'tenai. Sha'ayich al shabal ha'yim v'vushikol. Terrible understanding legamri. Whether your hand is on it, he does not explain.
On it, then we already mounted this. If no das is fine. So of course, with das.
If your hands was on it with no das, you're being makel. Very good. Good. So what's the case? The case is no hands, no das. Why is he being makel? Because he's learning a lumdus in das. He's learning a toyus is not going to ruin your das.
So if I took the thing off the thing, my wife.
So that case was one of the cases we skipped yesterday. That case is over here in Ha'ara Nuntes. You know, we'll stop over here. We'll pick up with the case of toyus because these cases get very important. Power outage is going to be a similar case. What does das mean? What if the power goes out? Okay, so it's still boiling hot. Can I take it and bring it to my neighbor's blech? 1 second. You don't have das. Maybe the fact that it went off of a flame, that makes it das, lack of das, now you can't do anything. Similar to over here, you took the wrong one. So whether this will be a Pesach or not, we'll pick it up from here.